And I would call this meeting into order. Third. Made him jump. Do, 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 do. Oh, we're feisty tonight.
It's gonna be kind of not poke fun at him for driving a wind-up car, but you know. I can't.
Alrighty, I'd call this meeting of April 7th, Board of Natrona County Commissioners to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Coates,
Here,
Commissioner Laird,
present.
Commissioner Nicolason,
He's gone.
Commissioner North, Chairman Mill.
Here. Get everybody to say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's Donald Trump.
Anyway. Alrighty. Garrett, you ready? Outstanding. Making us fast as like did last time. There you go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm sure most of you have already kind of peeked at the memo I sent out last week, touching base on a lot of the major projects and or just little ones that have been ongoing or got wrapped up in the last month. Is there any questions off the top of your head that I can answer on some of those bigger ones, or just kind of touch base on the issues that we have had and completing of them?
Anybody have any questions for Garrett? References?
I think we should get.
And yes, sir, I do understand that.
Interior, I don't know how fast it can be in the courthouse. For the criminals are
Yeah, I mean, these were mostly just stainless steel walls, or if the ones you're referring to, but yeah. It's more or less just dressing it up, LED lighting, in that situation like that, kind of just upgrading and updating the package all and modernizing, I guess, is more than anything of what that would entail. That's what you're referring to anyway. There was a few things that I did want to touch base just to keep you guys updated on. We had a few issues with an air handler here. Parts weren't completely obsolete, but I decided to go ahead and upgrade the controllers and the dampers to electronic. Anyway, we were going to have to replace heating and cooling valves in those air handlers also. And I made the decision to just go ahead and upgrade that air handler to keep it up to date, gonna last longer in the future, and not have to worry about those pneumatic valves. Also be able to control temperatures a lot better that way. So that was one thing that we had going last month. Also, we finished up the penthouse boilers at the Hall of Justice. Those two new boilers are in, controls are all set, running smoothly. They're much more efficient. They're condensating boilers, so we had to do a little venting change. We added a floor drain in that penthouse room just to, in the event of a catastrophe, we wouldn't be flooding near as bad. And then the last biggest project I got going is we replaced 6 of the isolation valves on the boilers over at the Townsend. We weren't able to completely isolate that heating lines to be able to clean heat exchangers, work on the boilers. We had a few small leaks in 2 of the drain valves, I guess you could call them. at the bottom of the heat exchanger. So we were able to isolate those with new valves, and then do that work, perform that we needed on those boilers so that the leaks have stopped. Other than that, we're running back and forth between boilers and chillers, and
By
trying to
changing
just
that
keep
out
everything-
early, did that affect the budget at all or anything like that?
with the pneumatic to electronic, no, it did not. I had that in the budget as maintenance, and then with an emergency fund as well. That I kind of tried to foresee something like that could happen, and
Okay.
just went ahead to upgrade it now so that we aren't fighting it later.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Sir?
Are on the electronic ones, are those fail open or fail closed or?
Cooling is failed closed, heating is failed open.
So with these expenditures, how many of these were called out in the facilities report that you presented to us earlier?
The valves and the actuators on the air handlers were part of that. They called in this building to upgrade all of them, right? There's 6 here total. Which that's kind of just the main components of these smaller units that are tucked away and doing separate divisions of the building. So yeah, they were in there.
And did they, I guess for lack of terms, did they fail kind of on schedule as was called out in the report, or was it early?
No, they failed earlier. I mean, that life expectancy is still like a 5-year window on a lot of this stuff, and we're getting to where a lot of this equipment is 25 to 30 years old. So, I mean, we're already in that window.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think he's doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
What do you want? Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for us?
No, I don't think so. I think for the most part, I've kind of just touched base on the major things, and everything else is just kind of our day-to-day, getting ready for spring and outside grounds work, and then
That truck working good for you?
it is great. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. That's going to help us out in the long run. Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Other than that,
Yes, I know we all appreciate everything you're doing and staying on top of things, and being proactive as far as replacing a lot of the things so we don't have unexpected emergencies.
yeah, and I understand those elevators are a blank, but we're been behind the 8 ball a little bit on some of our equipment that needs to be addressed before we're in a situation that we could be down for who knows. I mean, last time you guys saw me, we were sitting on an elevator and we were 8 weeks out on parts, and sometimes in a few of these buildings that's rough on employees as well as the public. So.
Alrighty, well, if anybody else has anything, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no,
your
I-
time and effort, and, a little 4 minutes early.
Yeah, just a few. Talk slower next time. All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, sir. Mike?
Afternoon.
Afternoon, how are you?
I know a lot about elevators. What goes up has to come down.
Eventually.
As long as it goes all the way to the top. Yeah. Okay. In here. All right. My update for today, the Herbst gravel pit, we received approval from DEQ to mine out there, and we finalized the SWIP plan. Langberg Miller did, so that's gonna go out to bid. So that'll be moving that project along. Buffalo Creek gravel pit, we're working with D&Q and the Game and Fish And they've changed things up on us. They're requiring us to separate the gravel contract or construction and design from the actual reservoirs that we're going to actually end up building when we take the gravel out of the ground. And to do that, that's going to take a change order to Ingberg Miller to change the plans to satisfy them to do their wildlife fishing game study, as well as the DEQ's water testing, for lack of a better word. There is no water there. We didn't hit any water when we drilled, but there is an underground creek that floods once a year if there's any snow in the Bighorn. And they get that captured water, and that ranch is irrigated with it for years. It's their water. That isn't an issue. It's just the new rules. So we're gonna have a change up there. That's gonna increase that contract to Ingberg about $8,700 some dollars, which will be coming to you at the next meeting. Squaw Creek Road, we've got that all settled. They're gonna have a pre-bid meeting April 23rd, and we'll see on April 30th what the bids come in at, if we can afford the project. Gray Reef Road's still the same as it was last time. We're just moving forward with the design. And the new shop building, you're aware that we're gonna go out with an RFP for the engineering. I haven't got that done yet, but I'm working on it. And Lakeshore, we got all the big culverts out there that flooded last year and filled up. We've got all but one of them clean. The one at the ski club, we've got to get a smaller skid steer to get inside of it and dig out the silt that came down. Then we'll be done out there. Badwater Bridge replacement still moving ahead. The Gray Reef Road Bridge replacement, that's also moving ahead with YDOT under the BROS program. East Salt Creek Road, where the bridge has been condemned to 3 tons. We're working through that with Worthington Lenhart. They're going to do the drainage study, and we're also working with the landowner, Mr. Tobin, to get an agreement. He's working on that as we speak. Should be seeing that this week. East End Road acquisition, we're still working on that. Some of this other stuff's kind of taking precedence. And then I had an emergency repair on 33 Mile Road. We lost a 100-foot culvert out there that was a return irrigation ditch for basically the Kendrick project. And that ended up costing, it was a deep dig, a lot of utilities. I couldn't do it. I don't have the trench boxes and stuff, so 71 Construction performed that for us, and they'll have to pave the road back when we get hot plant running again. We dug the hole up the Hills Half Acre for the outhouse that's going to be set up there tomorrow morning, and hopefully that all goes well. We're putting CM2 trucks back out, and you're aware of the fire we had on Sandpiper. I think everybody's aware of that, so I won't get into that too much. Then we're just doing general maintenance on all the roads and cattle guards, and all the roads are so dry that it's going to be an ugly summer. And fire restrictions, that's going to come back up tonight as to a ratification. I would like to suggest that we leave the fire restrictions on, but give me the authority to work with the fire department to allow agricultural burning of ditches, because all the people that have ditches that the Kendrick project's going to fill haven't been able to burn their ditches, and the water's going to be coming soon. So I'd like to work with the fire department to issue those burn permits, even though we've got a fire restriction on, and work just with the agricultural people and the ditch people to get that accomplished on a as-needed basis. There may be a potential we take this fire ban off in a couple weeks, but we need a little bit more moisture yet.
Mike, what verbiage would you recommend adding to that? I mean, request an ag exemption or an ag or irrigation exemption?
Yeah, I would, ag's a broad word because, I mean, they could go out and rake up tumbleweeds and try to burn them, and that's not the same thing as,
Old haystacks.
yeah, it's not the same as accomplishing the ditch burns. I mean, that's really what needs to be done, so I would like to have the wording specifically, have something in there that indicates it's gonna be cleaning of ditches, related to irrigation. I mean, they're free to go out and clean up tumbleweeds, but don't burn them.
Ashley, can you put something together for us to change that resolution a little bit?
And then it would be case by case with Brian out at the district to issue the burn permit.
Right.
If we're having a terrible day, red flag day and high winds, obviously he's not gonna do it. But a day like this morning early, they could have done it, other than there was so much frost, they couldn't get anything to burn, but it's kind of a catch-22.
So basically, we're looking at an exemption for cleaning of ditches, burning with the cleaning of ditches related to irrigation purposes with the authorization from county fire.
Yeah, I mean, we'll coordinate that. I'll talk to him, if we approve this, I'll talk to him and let him know what's going on, and then he can make the call on his end when they all call him. Yeah, because normally they'd get a burn permit.
Okay. I'm just trying to get it.
Because everybody's gonna see it and call it in as a fire, so
Right.
we have to coordinate this.
Okay.
And I don't know if you all know this, but the airport gave us a big snow blower, that they aren't gonna use anymore. Goes on a loader. They bought it years ago to, have a backup when one of theirs was down.
Mm.
And it's really pretty nice. It's similar to the ones we have, so that'll give us 3 of those.
Nice.
We just gotta go pick it up.
We use that before.
The airports? No, we didn't use it, but, I think the state had them take one of their big trucks up the mountain 2 years ago. They've used that big truck. That truck is massive. This is just a smaller one.
Ours, I thought either side of that has happened previously.
Well, I don't think they've ever used any of ours. They offered theirs to us, but, I didn't need it. All ours were still, getting back up and running. We've got 2. We used to have 3, but the big one we had, you can't even get parts for anymore. It's sold out of Canada. So it shelled out a number of years ago. It's just sitting in the yard. Nobody even wants the parts that are on it.
Where do you typically use those?
On the paved roads, and then we've used them out on Poison Spider, that one year. Wherever we need them, we've used them on the mountain, take them wherever they're needed. I told the airport when they're ready to get rid of one of those trucks, we'd like that.
No doubt. You need snow first, though.
Yeah, this year so, that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Questions? Ashley, are you good with language?
I got some of that, but Dave, can you repeat what you had said? I'm just adding it in here.
Yeah. We have an exemption from the fire burn ban.
Yeah.
For agricultural of cleaning irrigation ditches related to, let me start over. The exemption of the fire burn for ag exemption for cleaning of ditches related to irrigation purposes with the authorization from county fire. That's a general.
So we already have some exceptions, so this would be exception F. We added it to the resolution.
Okay. Yeah, because we don't, right now, with the type of ban we have, we don't have open fire unless it's cleared out in a bigger
Right, it's
area.
gotta be a
And that- and
radius
this-
and everything.
And that's the
There's
reason
no-
why the ditches are a little bit different, because you aren't gonna have all that cleared out area all the way around. You're actually trying to burn all the weeds and grass out.
Yeah, I got it.
Mr. Chairman, Mike, were you gonna talk about the fire suppression premium?
Well, I was gonna, guess we can talk about it now.
That's, yeah,
It's
as
on the
well.
agenda.
On the list.
Basically, we get that fire suppression premium sent to us in, I think it's January every year, and it's not due till July 15th. But then we ask for an extension, and I would like to see that just get paid, when we get the bill. That's what all the other counties are doing, and we're kind of unique. And I know why Tracy does it that way, because it's into the next fiscal year. But my problem with it, with all the politics, if for any reason it's not paid and we have a big fire and you got the wrong people looking at that, they could deny us.
Mr. Chairman, just for reference though, historically, we've been paying this in July since 2014. It has never been brought to us as being a problem. Every time we request an extension, they always grant it with no problem. So, you know, whatever needs to happen, but I didn't just make this up. We've been doing this for many years.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And this is how we've just always, you know, presented this budgetarily. So if he wants it paid, if you agree to pay it, we already did get the extension for this, for July, but we would need to add it to this current year's budget. Thank you.
Questions for Tracy?
That's more of a statement, and I agree with Mike, and the
Well,
dates,
I got called out on it at the fire convention this year. I was the only county fire warden that got called out on it, and I went up and kind of chewed on them for doing it. And I've said, like, we've always done this. Yeah, but you're always late. You know, well, we're not, because we get an extension. But to me, you know, if you get a bill, I pay all our other bills when we get them. I don't know what the hang up would be to pay it.
Well,
Just clear that up.
and Mike, correct me if I'm not correct on this, but generally speaking, our fire season doesn't really start hot and heavy until July.
Usually.
You know, I'm just saying, on a normal year, this is not a normal year.
Yeah.
And what moving this forward would do for us is it just gives us that buffer where we're not playing catch up. The amount's going to be the same. It's just a matter of which year. what we're
Would be
coming out of.
budgeted from now on. It'd just be budgeted and budget.
And so I know this is a topic that I had brought up to me previously, and when I was a fire chief, and that's something that you know, as far as what the importance is, but on a year like this where we've already had stuff started, I think it's important that we don't that they're not knocking on our door. So I don't have any problem with actually paying it up front and getting it taken care of now. And, you know, and then next year we could pay it again in March or April or before the fire season actually starts, and that way we don't have to worry about it. But that's my personal feeling.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Just for the record, again, we've been doing this since 2014. If there was a problem, I don't know why it hasn't been brought up now. This is the first I'm hearing it other than when Mike first brought it to us a couple months ago. I mean, I don't care when it's paid, obviously, it's in Mike's budget. But the extension is granted in writing. You know, we just don't assume. We ask every year for an extension. They grant it to us in writing. So I am a little frustrated by this. But again, if you want to pay it, you will need to do a budget adjustment in Mike's budget this current fiscal. Thank you.
So Tracy, is there any pros or cons or to paying it early? Well, not paying it early, but not using an extension, but paying it in the current year?
Mr. Chairman, I think, you know, according to Mike's statement and Dave's payment, they feel that, we wouldn't be covered. So it was just a budgetary item. It was due mid-July. Our budget isn't usually approved until the third week in July. That's why we asked for the extension. It was the first check cut when the new budget was approved. I don't care when it's paid, but I'm just saying, for the record, why he was called out in public on it is irritating when they granted the extension and have granted the extension for many years. If they didn't want to grant it, they surely didn't have to. So, again, that's how it's been done. It can change, no big deal, but this wasn't just my doing.
No,
Just because.
I don't think, I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying,
anybody's saying that.
I'm not saying that at all.
That, when we talked, it sounded like you said that it was kind of a new crowd down there a little bit.
It's changing.
Yeah. So that may be precipitating a little bit. Do you have the money in your budget?
She'll have to adjust it.
Mr. Chairman, he doesn't because we've already paid it.
Already paid it?
We've paid
Last
for
year?
last year's in July.
Do we have any, is there money to pay it now? And just get them off, get it onto schedule so we don't have to do exemption moving forward?
Well, I'm sure there is. Yeah, I'm sure Mike would have some in unexpended funds also going forward, but sure, I'm sure there are. Yes, I would say yes.
Got any left?
Then out of your pocket.
My budget probably looks the worst it's ever looked, even though we didn't plow snow.
So, Mr. Chairman, I can certainly do a transfer of funds to get this paid.
Any comments?
Tracy, I honestly, I think this is all coming out of Cheyenne and some of the other areas. It's not anything that we've done as a county in the past. I don't think that's the case at all. It's not Mike's fault. It's not our fault. It's just with the change in the climate. And I think after the fires last year, as bad as they were all over the place, I think that just kind of exasperated a lot of this situation. And I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. It's just Mike just happened to be the target, and that's basically all it amounts to. It's just a matter of when we would do it and paying it, just to going into the summer instead of when the summer's almost over. So
Commissioner Laird?
When do you typically pay it?
The day after the budget is approved, which is the third Monday in July,
So why can't we pay it then?
because they don't like it. The forestry division doesn't like it. They called Mike out on it. It's due like July 15th.
Well, it isn't his fault. It isn't anybody's fault.
Well, we request an extension.
Have we always paid it then for the last number
Yes.
of years? Why don't we keep doing that?
Well, because they want it paid in the current, they don't want an extension. They want it paid before the July 15th due date, correct, Mike?
Yeah, Alice, we're asking for an extension and have ever since I've been here. To me, it's a simple thing to play the catch up, pay it, and then put it in the next year's budget so I can pay it when it comes, and we won't be having to ask for an extension. It's just a fix.
Casey? Yeah.
Because if they say no to the extension, we're gonna have to come up with the money anyway. So, kinda,
So I don't
Pay
know
now,
why
pay
they
later.
call you out on it. If they didn't want us to have an extension, then they shouldn't have given it to us.
well, they gave it to us after the fact,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
but they've always given it to us. That's, Tracy's absolutely right, but it's just, things are changing, and, I think it's simple to fix myself.
Mr. Chairman, it is a simple fix. The only reason it's even being presented is because he'll need a budget amendment this current fiscal. Thank you.
We can find that somewhere. Hush you.
I think we should just put it in the hands of the person who takes care of it. She can pay it when.
So what do we need to do to get it caught up then?
Mr. Chairman, I will do a budget amendment. You'll be seeing that on a resolution forthcoming in the next couple months, but we'll get the bill paid.
Gracias. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't
Thank-
get
thank
involved.
you, Tracy.
Don't get involved in this with Mike.
Oh,
Send them to her. They don't like when they get paid. It's like my grandmother said, you don't always get what you want.
I guess next meeting you can tell them quit whining.
all right, appreciate it.
Don't run away yet. We're
Oh, you got
still on a roll here.
Still got more?
Yeah. So you might as well hang out.
Okay.
The road and bridge bid award for the motor grader and attachments. We're going to discuss that a little bit. So we received a response. And did you have time to take a look at that as well?
I did.
And your evaluation is?
Yeah, Deere's response, addressed the exceptions that they took and the differences in what, Caterpillar had reported on some of those issues. And like I said at the last meeting, I mean, I can live with the Deere machine with the exception of the steering and the wipers.
Any questions?
I do.
Okay.
And this is a question to everybody because I'm not quite sure. So, my understanding generally is that we hear the people who bid, and we generally look very hard at the lowest bid. Apparently, the lowest bid here is the John Deere people, and it's $40,000 under CAT. So are we legal? Here's our legal person over here. How do we handle that issue where people are considering the highest bid rather than the lowest bid?
So statutorily, we're not obligated to, we don't have to go with the lowest bid. We just have to justify essentially why we didn't. So legally, there's no issues if there's legit reasons why we would go with someone higher.
Okay, I want to flesh this out pretty good, really. I think the two gentlemen from the John Deere are here, and Mike, I take your advice. That's what I've told, but I don't understand this thing about. I thought I read something in their deal where there's no wipers on there.
There isn't.
I don't know whether I misread that or not.
Oh, there is.
On the doors.
And you want wipers on the unit? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah,
Have you read this thing that
Yes.
they submitted?
yes.
Would
I
you
have.
tell me your opinion of what was said here in a gentlemanly fashion?
Basically, they're gonna do the same any bidder, they're gonna defend their product.
Yes, of course.
And I'm not gonna get down in the weeds, you know, I mentioned, I don't know, how many points did I mention last week, 2 weeks ago, 12 different categories out of the 47 or whatever it was, exceptions they took that I had some concerns with. Mr. Coates ran the machine.
Right.
They brought it over to him, he operated it, I operated it. I also had Mr. Coates come over and run a cap machine, which I think is only fair. And, I showed him some things that it won't do. But I tell you what, when you run these machines and you got side windows and you don't have wipers, what do you do when you're pulling out into traffic? I mean, it never snows here, it never blows here, it never ices up here, and we don't have mud, that gets on the side of these machines, I guess.
And I'm not
I'm just saying.
questioning you on that. Let me tell you
But
what
that's one of the biggest issues. The wipers on the side panels are not there. We have,
so
on
here's
a
my
cap
job.
machine, there's
I
4.
want you to understand what my job is. I want to make sure we're being fair to this other company.
Well,
That's what I want to do.
I believe we are,
Okay.
because I also believe you get what you
Here's
pay
a guy
for.
I've known for 50 or 100 years, and those two gentlemen seem like very nice guys, and
They are. They got a tough
they
job
have
to
a
do.
great product.
They've got a product, but they got a product that doesn't steer properly to do the work we do, and it doesn't have windshield wipers.
Commissioner Coates.
So as Mr. Hagler said, I did get the chance to operate both machines. The John Deere's a fantastic machine. The Cat's a fantastic machine. So the commission, I think, should be cautious to say, and Mr. Hagler, I think, should be cautious to say that it's inferior. It just doesn't do what, doesn't operate as you would like it to operate, and as some of your staff would like it to operate. I think that's kind of the core of the issue. I guess broader issues in research, looking at some technical and professional papers that discuss equipment and equipment usage and purchasing. I think the issue for me is, although there's a $50,000 difference, there is a training aspect involved, and although John Deere is willing to train, I think the accounting for the wages and the time, for my estimations, it can be anywhere between 60 and 100 hours just to get proficiency on a machine, especially when we're changing over. So we're talking about staff time, which quickly, in my view, eats up $50,000. There's also the aspect of productivity, which I think we have to look at. And when you have different machines and you go from one machine to another, you can get anywhere from between a 5 and 15% reduction in productivity. And so when we put those factors together, we can pretty easily say that $50,000 doesn't make or break this. So the other piece of this is we will have one John Deere grader amongst a fleet of Cat graders. Now, are there interchange problems? Yes, there are. If your entire staff is used to the Cat machine and they're running the Cat machine and the controls are different, which they are different. I ran it. I can tell you they're different. You know, do I foresee that being problematic? Potentially. And, you know, when we talked in the field, you said that, you know, if you were stuck with the machine, you would primarily use it as a road grader and you wouldn't use it for snow plowing for a variety of reasons. To me, that pretty much says that it's not going to be a full function machine as you intended the bid to be out at. And that pretty much justifies using the Cat, although I would say that the John Deere is a fantastic machine, and if other counties find good use in it, more power for them to run it. So that's all I have.
Hypothetical. Let's say they came in here and offered it to us for $100,000 cheaper. What would we do then? What should we do if it was 100,000 cheaper than the Cat? And we're spending taxpayer money. You were a commissioner once, so think about back when you were a commissioner.
I was commissioner once, I also think about liability.
Yeah, I understand.
When you don't have windshield wipers, what kind of liability do you
This
have?
is a lawyer's question. Do the best you can.
I did.
You would still.
Money doesn't,
I'm just gonna reiterate what Commissioner Coach said. Having different machines, it'd be different if we were only looking at one machine and that's all we had in our fleet, but it's not. And I have driven a lot of different types of machines over the years, and I do understand that when you go from one machine to another machine, even if you can feel comfortable with that short term, when you get in a tight spot, muscle memory kicks back in. And if you're using the same type of machine all the time, then you know what that machine's going to do. And it's not saying that the John Deere's not a good machine. It's just not the same machine as what you already have. And the replacement of cost parts and stuff like that, making sure that your cutting blades are going to transfer. There's no need in stocking up a bunch of different parts for different machines. It's a lot easier to have one, be able to buy one thing for your machines and know what your filters, know what your cutting edges, know what your replacement parts are going to be. So I don't have any problem with going with the Cat, and that's the main reason.
Make a
really do appreciate it. Saying that the machine isn't capable, whatever. But yeah, no, sounds like we have direction as a county for safety concerns as well as training.
I just had, if the John Deere people are here. I wonder if you want to give them a shot at saying whatever they would like to say while they're here. I just think it's a matter, Mr. Chairman, it's a matter of fairness. John Deere's a really good company. Caterpillar's a really good company. I don't want anybody to think that we think they're an inferior brand or anything else.
Oh, I don't think so. I think their statement, their incentives, the buildup is fantastic. They explained everything really well. I did a lot of research on the side myself personally. Do you want to make a statement or chat real quick? Good afternoon.
So this isn't the first county that we come up against it, right? My name's John Thomas here in Casper, work for RDO Equipment. This isn't the first county that we run up against that runs both Caterpillar and John Deere. In fact, our cutting edges interchange with each other. They all run 3/4 cutting edges. We do have put in place where we can monitor when that is due for service. We can deliver those filters to you guys, so there's not a having to figure out what filters you're gonna need. But we have multiple counties that we service. There's Carbon County, there's Park County, Laramie County, Campbell County. They all run both Caterpillar and John Deere. This isn't the first time we've come up against this, so I feel that we should look at this again. I mean, we offer, I don't understand why it's unsafe not to have those wipers. It's because of how their cab is designed. When with it facing the snow and the mud, it's going to hit those first. Your sides aren't going to get hit with the mud and snow. So that's some of the things that I wanted to express. Have you got any, Jason?
I'm Jason Camp with RDO, Regional Sales Manager. I think we just need to look at the training aspect that John is our training guy. He's willing to donate our time, put the effort in, and make you guys proficient with that machine. I feel that it will do whatever it needs to do in a safe environment. John Deere's been around. It's all over the country. It's used in Minnesota, up in the East Coast where they get snow too, and a lot of it. If it was an unsafe machine, why are they still in business?
They've been making motor graders for 55 years. And if there's something unsafe, why are they not addressing it?
So, yeah, I would never say it's unsafe. I don't take that stance at all. I think that, and I experienced it, it is a fine machine. There's no doubt. We walked through it. You showed me quite a few things about it. I think it's a fantastic machine. I absolutely do. Safety concerns are the road and bridge superintendent's, and he has to manage his staff, and he has to take some consideration for his staff that I can't weigh on those. Myself, I think it's a absolutely fantastic machine, and operationally, I haven't driven anything that wasn't, you stood up, you didn't stand up on and handle a whole bunch of handles for a long time, and it was intuitive to run, absolutely. When I ran the cat was intuitive to run. So, there were some differences with the steering wheel, and that's, there is some preference to that. my concern, not necessarily with you providing the training. I think you guys absolutely provide all the training in the world to make someone a fantastic operator on it. So don't misunderstand that. My concern is the sunk time. And when we have a cat fleet, if we were looking at, changeover over time, where we're going to have a blended fleet, absolutely wouldn't be as big of a concern. But when we're going to have one piece of equipment and we're going to have a bunch of sunk time training operators on there, that cost benefit starts to become less and less. And your time is appreciated, but it's just that it's operational time.
So, Mr. Coates, that training that we provided for you that day, we also did that for Natrona County. Their 2 operators had came over to our shop. We did the same walk around. Both of them expressed that they have ran both Caterpillar and John Deere. And actually one of the gentlemen said he came from California and that's all they ran was John Deere. So he has operators that are able to run both of them.
Gentlemen, I'm just gonna get it right to the point, okay? I think you have a good product. I think you're honest gentlemen. You have the lowest bid. Now, I have a person here who's worked for the county for a long time. And he's the guy I rely on. I have to rely on him.
Absolutely.
Now, if you were able to convince him to get your unit, that's the one we would get.
Okay.
Because I don't have an opinion of which one's better or worse or all of the stuff you guys talk about. Casey went and that's what he told me when he drove your deal. He said it was a great piece of equipment. I don't doubt that one bit. And that isn't where my vote goes. My vote has to go with our employees who I believe are trustworthy and honest with me about what they want in their division. My job, though, is to see that you're treated fairly. Truthfully, I wouldn't mind seeing a John Deere in our stable and see what happens. But unless you convince that gentleman there, he's the guy I've known. I've known you guys since you've come in here. I have no reason to disbelieve anything you've said. I hear a guy who's running that whole shop out there and has used this product for I don't know how many years. And so when our employees get up here and they tell me something, I question them to see if they're being honest and fair and all of that. And I think he is. And it's like my wife. I can't go to a different gas station. She says we got to go to the Homax gas station. And if she wants a cowboy hat, I got to get it at Lou Talbert's. I can't go get it at somewhere else where the cowboy hats are good. I got to get it there. That's how people are that have used certain products for many, many years. So I know you guys will think of something to get your product into this county. That part isn't over yet. But with respect to this issue, I have to accept Mike's recommendation for the reasons he's told me. And I'm not arguing about wipers or anything else.
My concern is, I don't feel that we're ever gonna get that opportunity. I feel like we've gone down the direction of Caterpillar. I believe Mike said last time that you guys have ran John Deere, or Caterpillars for 29 years straight. At what point do you turn the tide and give somebody else another opportunity with a $50,000 savings?
All good points. Now,
With
let me
your-
tell you one thing. This is my last year here, so I'm not going to get to vote on this again. So when there's probably 3 commissioners that won't be here unless they all run again, but politics it's a wonderful thing. Just ask Donald Trump. So all I can say is, if it was me, I would be working on that guy back there. Because I think you can see that. You can see the issues we have as commissioners here. And I don't, and the lawyer's telling me that the 40 grand is not in the realm of being unfair and on these bids and all of that, then I have to look at that legal opinion. So
I do feel like we came to the table and saved the community $51,600. And I was listening to budget concerns prior to this, where would we come up with that in the budget? And I'm feeling that may make a pretty good dent in the fire suppression to help you guys out.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're honorable people. I think you got a great product. I can't say that enough times. In fact, I'd like to have a little John Deere to mow my lawn with,
We can help you out.
but you can't. So I'm just telling you, there's a whole lot of issues here that we have to deal with. And I'm not about to second guess my employees who've done this job for many, many years that I wouldn't know how to go turn one of these units on even. So I got to accept the person who I believe is giving me the right thing, because I haven't heard him, say there was anything wrong with John Deere. They just have why they've always had cats. Don't ask me. I represented those old commissioners as a lawyer, and they did a lot of things. I always wondered why they did it, but they did it, and it's gone down the trail that way.
How can the other counties around Wyoming have a multi-blended fleet? How are they successful?
You'll have to
with
ask
that?
them. I can't speak for them.
The testimony's there, though.
Well, I see what you've written, and I don't doubt that either. But
And
it's different commissioners run their counties in different ways because they have the flexibility to do that. We have plenty of flexibility.
but I guess you can accomplish it, I guess is my point. It is accomplishable. It's something that can be done, and it's proven.
So it's been a while, but they are fantastic dirt workers. I enjoyed using it for working some dirt with my time that I got to use it. But I'm of mind also that I need to listen to our department head. What I think his concern with the snow and mud and stuff with the cab, one of the main concerns, right, is I don't know if you guys would be able to. I don't know if we are able to, but maybe we can do a short, if we ever do get snow again, a short trial period.
Yeah.
A day or two of blading with one of your pieces of equipment as a trial
Absolutely. Yeah.
at some
Love
point,
that.
just to see how it works and how it does handle in the snow.
One thing I'd ask is to have John accompany you guys,
Yeah.
in the field.
Oh, yeah,
While the questions come
Well,
up, because
just
I feel
turn
like
loose.
the first go around, I think there was some education that needed to be done, with the machines. They are different. You are gonna have differences, and until you are told how to operate that machine correctly, it's not gonna do the things you want it to do.
I think
until-
if you're looking for a break-in, that's maybe a look at is to see if we can't utilize one at some point during a snowstorm. Not the little 2-3 inch snowstorm that we get, but
Yeah, the
one
2 foot.
where I'm snowed in counties sitting there just jamming their
But
equipment into the
the
pit.
hard part I'm gonna have going forward is I'm showing the competition my bottom dollar with. So moving forward, it's really hard for me to rebid this because I'm showing all my cards. We went to John Deere and asked for additional assistance. RDO actually threw in additional money towards this because we knew we hadn't had the opportunity to get in. And this was our home run hit to get you guys into a John Deere and see what we could offer as a company. Going forward, I don't know that we can do that anymore because, we were
Right.
$50,000 less to
And,
meet.
and that's completely understandable. And instead of looking at the home run hit, as you call it, maybe just a bunt, just to start breaking in.
We don't have a problem letting you guys run our equipment. That's what we want. But until there's a relationship built that we feel like we have a true opportunity to get in the door, I can't show all my cards.
No, I get it, but that's what,
Yeah.
just my suggestion is
No.
maybe do something like that.
I would be happy to let you run the machine and, you know, when we get to that point, Mike,
Is there any
Oh,
big
one-
projects coming up rather than snow? Is there any big projects we could demo a blade?
I
You know,
think snow
besides
and
that,
mud is the biggest concern that
The snow and mud,
county
okay.
has. So that would be where we'd need to run it. Like I said, I've ran it, not as new as what you guys had, I was standing up, but, you know, yeah, he's a fantastic dirt worker. I can't speak to any snow or mud, how it handled.
you know, you look at those counties that we threw attestments out or testimonies out for the machine, those counties get snow.
Yeah.
So I'm having a hard time with that snow issue simply due to the fact that those counties probably get more snow than we do. So how are those machines running in those counties?
Well, like I said, that's probably one way of getting into this county.
I think you've got to convince Mike Hagler. And maybe you ought to let him use one of your, when there's a bunch of snow, let him use one of your products for 30, 60 days. And you might change his mind. I mean, I don't know whether you would or not, but I know how long he's been doing this, and I know he knows what he's doing. I know you guys want to sell a good product. And for whatever reason, this county's done cats for 30 years. I guess it's because they did the job and they got treated right by CAT. Because this is the first time it's been brought up about this particular issue. And I know that you guys are good salesmen, and I know I bought a car one time when one guy wouldn't let me drive the car and the other guy says, take it for a week. I came back and bought that one because he hit the right number for me to sell it to me.
So what's the board's play?
I'm going to follow Mike Hagler's advice at this point because I'm relying on that, and it isn't that I think they have a great product and I believe what they're saying. If they worked here and they told me that they wanted all John Deere, that's who I'd vote for.
Commissioner North?
I'd make a motion that we move forward with the bid reward for the cat grader. And I said, it's not anything against you guys, but I just believe that that's what Mike's crew wants, and that's what they're used to. And so, with
The
that,
motion? Do I have a
Is that your
second?
motion?
that was my motion, to move forward with the cat bid.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it. I have to commend you guys though for fighting for your product. That you've done fantastic.
I would like to motion nay.
Well,
You'll
you
have
know,
to,
there-
you'll
glad
have to
you're a
run for
fighter.
the position before you can
election
do.
coming up. Put your signs out, and then you can motion for nay. No, seriously, thanks for doing all that background and bringing us all the information so we could make an educated decision. Thank you.
One more thing to say.
You don't need to say anything else.
Oh,
You don't need to say anything else.
I'm going to. You know, it's not a Mike Hagler thing. It's a concern for safety. How many of you gentlemen drive cars without windshield wipers? If you ever sit at a stoplight and your side window ice is over, you got what do you have to do? Roll the window down, get your hand out. You can't do that on a blade when there's 60-mile-an-hour wind. You're going to open that door and it flies back and breaks the glass. It's $600. And then the guys out there in the cold. These machines sit outside. They get snowed on. When you first get in them, you got to go clean all that stuff off. It's nice to have wipers to do that. I don't understand that fact that they don't have a wiper.
Mike, you just got the votes.
I understand that.
Do we need to
But-
keep going into this? I
Well,
think we should be done with it, really.
you guys said some things that I'm not against John Deere. I
We know
bought
you're
John
not.
Deere all the time. I was at the city. I bought Cat as well. But there's two features on this machine that I got the problem with. That's it. The other 47 things I've waived. So
Got that. I got that.
they need to understand that.
I trust your word.
Okay.
I've
thank
said
you.
it 10
And thank you
times.
for your
I'll say
time
it
and
10
your
more if you need me. to.
suffering.
Thank
Thank you,
Mike.
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, Sabrina, it's time. You gotta make up 15 minutes. It's back on schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. How fast do you want me to talk?
Sabrina, that was not a challenge to talk fast.
Oh, I think it was.
We're already a minute over.
Okay, so you have our report from last week that we gave you with our development department. So I don't really have a whole lot of big updates. We're still working on the text amendment. Code enforcement is going well, pumping along. That's about all that we have right now for that. But Brad has some other updates.
Chairman, Commissioners, I forgot to put in my report that we are in the middle of working on the adoption of the 2026 NEC. We're revamping our contractor licensing regulations, and we're cleaning up our resolution for our fees, not really increasing anything, just organization and clarification. So that's been going on for a month now. We got done with the NEC. We're still working on the contractor regs right now. We should be buttoning it up in the next couple weeks.
Any questions?
Sabrina, how goes the subdivision revisions?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, it's very slow at the moment, but it is going to be getting better in the very near future. We've had a little bit of an uptick in some of our requests, so addressing is one of them. So we've been getting very familiar with that one. So I think that might be an indicator of building picking up, because obviously people need addresses before they can build, so they can get building permits. So we had 5 in one day last week. So that's doing better. So I think that's going to start picking up, and I would like for it to.
Thanks.
Any other questions? You're 5 minutes over.
But got you better on time.
Thanks to both of you. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and the lack of complaints has been greatly noticed, and I do appreciate that immensely.
Yell?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Did you receive my department head update?
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. All right, first thing on the update is the HR annual summary. I provided this documentation to you. The HR annual executive summary for 2025. It discusses the turnover rate. Our turnover rate for 2025 was 24.4%. We had 68 terminations for 279 full-time employees. There were 46 voluntary terminations, 22 involuntary, and 12 retirements. So with that, what that tells us is that with the 16.5% voluntary terminations, we have employees leaving for other positions for various reasons. We don't necessarily get exit interview information back from everybody, but they're for various reasons. So that's something that I think we can work on with retention, and I have some ideas that I'll bring forward to another meeting. With the talent acquisition, we had 442 applications for 19 posted positions on Indeed. And then on the company website, we had 390 applications. I don't have how many posted positions because the sheriff also posts there, and he works directly through IT with that. He does not go through HR for his posted positions. For unemployment, we had 13 claimants totaling $45,570. We also had one unemployment hearing that was ruled in our favor. Workers' compensation, we had 25 total cases. 253 days away from work. 6 of those cases had 253 days away from work, and 2 cases had 139 light duty days. Any questions on that annual report? Okay. Mr. Chairman, next up is the 2026 policy review schedule. As promised at my last department head update, we will begin the process of updating the employee policy handbook. You can see the schedule in front of you. It's a pretty aggressive schedule. I do know that, but I think it's important and it's imperative to get it done before the new elected officials come on, whoever they may be, so that it's set in place for them and ready to go. One thing I wanted to bring forward is it's an extremely busy time right now. It's very hard to schedule meetings with elected officials and department heads right now and getting everybody in the same room. And I would like some support and some feedback on thoughts about how to schedule these meetings. What we are going to try to do is 2 a month to get this completed. There's a lot of policies to go through, and you can see that on the schedule. And I think I got some feedback back from Jill, and maybe setting the expectation that we're going to go ahead and schedule those meetings. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. But I think it's important that we still get their feedback, because these policies are going to affect everybody's departments differently, and they need to have buy-in. They have to enforce these policies, and I think it's important to get their feedback. So it's going to be hard scheduling these meetings for all of us, but I think with using the Teams app and having meeting minutes and having drafts, everybody will have the chance to get their feedback back to us. But I need the support of, we're going to schedule the meetings. We will do our best to try to get everybody in the room, but we're not going to be able to accommodate everybody. Thoughts on that?
This is off that chart a little bit, but with the outside boards, are you gonna have them involved in setting their policies and going through that stuff too, since they're kind of played by different rules?
No, that was not the plan. They all have their own policy handbooks.
Oh, I'm just asking, just so for clarification more than anything else, so that they do understand that.
Okay,
And, so
perfect.
I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure that everybody knows that they need to work on their own policies and do things accordingly.
And that you bring up a good point, Commissioner North. A lot of times they'll call and they'll follow suit with what our policies are. So they're more than welcome to do that. And if they want to attend, they can and follow what we're doing. But no, we're not doing their policies.
Commissioner Coates?
Daniel, thanks for putting that together. So I would say go ahead and schedule, and your time is just as valuable as elected officials' time, especially when we're working on this policy handbook. So go ahead and schedule. There'll be time for review. The topics are already laid out, so there should be time at some point to get you notes if they can't make it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Anything else?
So, yeah. Well, it's scattered through the year, but we've got to get these done correctly. And so it's going to take some time in each section. And it's going to take some commitment, not just from you, but from the other electeds and department heads as well. And so if you have any roadblocks, or if you aren't getting quite the support you think you need as far as trying to get this completed for the county, because this is for the county, it's for the benefit of the county as a whole. It's something that we as representatives of the citizens for this county should be supporting, trying to get this done, because it will affect the workings of the county. So you shouldn't have any problems, I'd hope, of getting this completed. If there are any issues, just please let me, Coates, any of us know, and we'll support you on trying to get this completed as you can, okay? What I think we'd like to see though too is as these sections are completed, if you could maybe send them to us to review ourselves, just to kind of take a look at it after you're done with section 1 through 5. Send it to us, just let us review it so that we're in the loop on it as well.
Okay, certainly. And I promise I will do my best to try to accommodate everybody's schedules.
30
Came,
days in a month.
yes,
Should be able to find some time somewhere.
let's hope. The next item is the Baker Tilly compensation study update. This is another one of those items that we were having a hard time finding a time to get all of the committee members in the room. Our next scheduled meeting is going to be April 17th. Unfortunately, that's the earliest we can do it. We will be discussing the career ladders that they provided for us, and then also the benefits presentation. So that will be coming forward to you as well. That's where we're at with that. The next item is the HR training for department heads and elected officials. So we split the cost with the airport to have an HR training done for 5 department heads and elected officials. We had Garrett with maintenance attend, Sabrina with development. We had Tammy and Christy from the assessor's office, and Jill. I received feedback from both Sabrina and Garrett, and it was great training, reasonably priced. And so I'm going to see if there's interest from the other elected officials and department heads to go through that training again. I actually met with Garrett this morning, and he came in and he's using the training for a documentation issue that he's got. And so I think it was well worth money spent.
How much was it about per person?
I think our portion, I don't know per person, I think it was $1,400, and we split it in half with the airport. So I think it was $700. It was an 8-hour long training. All right. Insurance renewals with risk management. We have the cyber and liability portion redone. We also have the crime done. We are just working on the property right now. That is due, I believe, May 15th. Hope is working on the schedule of values of all of our property. So we should have initial. It's hard because we don't get them back till the beginning of June. So we always have to put a placeholder in the budget for how much our insurance premiums are going to cost. But we should have preliminary budget placeholders soon.
How much did the cyber go up?
Don't know yet. No, they're submitted, but we don't have the information back yet. So from the adjusters. Health insurance update. We are running better. The last time that I reported to you was the December dashboard, and we were running over at about 35% over the planned budget. Right now, the year-to-date variance is 18% over. That typically happens. It drops at the beginning of the year because everybody's paying their deductibles. They start over with their deductibles. So the money and the burden goes back on the employee at the beginning of the year. So we're hoping that continues to stay there, drop more. I don't know. We'll see how that works out, but we are running hot with our insurance plan. The benefits committee does have a meeting coming up to discuss some other cost-saving measures that I'll be bringing forward as well. We're looking at a cost-saving measure with our prescription drug plan. So once I have more details, I'll bring that forward. And the last thing is tomorrow, WARM will be here from Cheyenne and all the other counties that are WARM participants. They will be here in town, and all of the task force, the WARM task forces will be meeting. So we'll have cyber, law enforcement, and HR. Those meetings begin at 10 a.m. So Hope and I and the sheriff and somebody from Eileen's department will all be at the Ag Resource Building doing that. Then at 2:30 p.m., WARM, they are our property insurer, and so they're going to tour the new health department building, so we'll be with them for that.
Any
Questions? There is a lot.
Thank you.
Okay,
Danielle.
thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on to legal. No, just a minute. Yes, you can see you bouncing up and down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Real quick. real quick, we are implementing a document alert system with our iDoc Market online service. So the residents of Natrona, or any county actually, can subscribe to this service. So when a document is recorded against their name, parcel ID, or legal description of their property, they will get an alert. And if, yes, we have been asked about this a lot. There's 6 other counties in Wyoming that have this service. So they would get an alert that, you know, say a warranty deed was recorded against your property, and then they can deem it if it's, you know, a legitimate recording or whatnot. Again, we are just the recorder's office, so if it's a recordable document, we record it. So if they deemed it a fraudulent document, then they would have to take steps outside of our office to remedy that. But pretty excited about that. The service is free, like I said, to the constituents. It was a one-time fee of $7,700 for us to implement the service, and then it's a recurring fee of $1,300 a year for maintenance. But we are stoked about that, and we get a lot of requests and about that. So, any questions regarding that?
Any questions? No, thank you for
Okay.
coming up with that. That's awesome. That's actually serves the people of this county and protects them. So thank you.
It was a joint effort between IT and my office, so we're excited. Thank you.
Okay, she's done bouncing, so it's your turn.
You good? Okay, so as Mike had mentioned, we are working on getting a bypass for the bridge on East Salt Creek Road. Mr. Tobin has a proposed agreement from me. I'm waiting on him to kind of respond. Mike, I know, had talked to him today, I believe, and he said he's still going through that agreement, and hopefully we'll have something back in a couple of days. With East End Road, I know Mike had mentioned that one too. I'm still,
Okay.
okay.
So on the Tobin agreement, does it state the length of time the easement lasts?
So it's lasts until we have completed our obligation. And part of that obligation would be to put in a permanent fix for that bridge.
On it?
No, because we don't necessarily know how long it's going to be, because I know we have to have an engineering report. And so I didn't want to put a hard date. I just wanted it to be where once we have finished our obligations, and there's a list of our obligations, and the very last obligation is for us to basically restore that where the bypasses are going to be. We'll take that out and kind of restore it, I guess, to the way it was before. And so once that's been done, then that easement ends.
Mr.
Estimate the time?
Mike, do you have an estimate? I mean, I guess it kind of varies depending on when we can get this agreement.
I'm gonna guess that's where he's gonna come back. How long of time do we have under this agreement to use his right of way?
Well, basically, it's probably the way he's interpreting, I think, is an annual type of thing. We can get the engineering done and the drainage study done. And depending on what has to go in there, whether it can be a culvert or a bridge. If it's a bridge, it's going to be years. If it's a culvert, it won't be. So we don't have a timeline that we can specifically state we're going to be done. But I think he's open to, we may have to revisit it yearly, would be my guess, depending on what.
It's potentially $5,000 a year.
That isn't the way it's written right now, but we're going to have to revisit it.
Mr. Chairman. Mike, just for clarity, and Ashley, you can help out on this too. Once we have this agreement signed by Mr. Tobin, how long will it take us to get that bypass put in there? What's it going to take? Can we do it fairly quickly?
I can get it in there probably within a week, and then it's open to the public again.
Okay, so.
But I'm talking about long term.
So along with that process, because we've already got people in there waiting to get things taken care of. Ashley, is there Is there anything we can do to expedite this to give Mike an opportunity if Mr. Tobin signs this and comes back with agreement, since we don't have our next meeting for a few weeks?
Because the situation, I would classify it as kind of an emergency because we have a bridge and people aren't able to use this road. We can treat it as an emergency, basically resolution, and that we would ratify the next meeting. I just have to have that signed agreement.
Yeah,
And so
oh,
I'm, as soon as we get that signed agreement, I will get it to you all, so we can, go through where you guys just respond to Michelle and
Be a
I.
thumbs up or whatever else.
Yes, and then we can, we would ratify it because, yes, we have people that are running out of propane. That's a big issue. And so we gotta get this open.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure that was the case, that we could expedite this once we get everything signed, so we can get that taken care of. So,
And the bypass will stay there till we get the structure built again. Has to.
It'll be interesting when he has his lawyer look at it, he comes back with something.
I guess. Wasn't my question.
And then, so then East End Road, we're still waiting on 2 people. Peter knows the one person, so I know Peter had mentioned that or Commissioner Nicolason, my apologies. Commissioner Nicolason said that he was going to reach out to them, to get their approval to amend the easements. There's one person I don't know, Peyton Zierloff, something like that. So if any of you know him and can reach out to him, I would greatly
Mr.
appreciate
Laird,
it.
you need to come back to your chair, please. Go on.
I will reach out to him.
Okay, thank
and
you.
See if we can get something.
I hate to have to try to go through the whole process, to establish the road when all we can just do quick amendments. Additionally, Eileen and I are still working with DocuSign for contracts for the county. We're going to be running some test documents before we kind of try to implement that for our contracts. I have a meeting with NCSJ tomorrow concerning mental health and Title 25s. They heard that Title 25s are going very smoothly right now, and so they kind of just want to pick Phil's also going, and so they want to kind of pick our brain a little bit. So we're getting some kudos because things are streamlining there. District Court had notified us that Title 25s had not been getting closed properly since 2022. We have a list of cases that hadn't been closed, and so there was 211 cases on that list. Felicia has really been knocking those out. We only have 52 cases left to do motions and orders to close on. She expects that we'll get that done this week. Additionally, we have Tamara, who just started on the 1st, so we've been doing some training with her, and she's also helping to try to get those cases closed. She's doing really well, and we're excited to have her with us. Lastly, I was going through some file boxes, and I found some road vacation applications that looks like nothing got done with them. The oldest was from 2023, the newest was from last year. I will be reaching out to those petitioners to see if they're still wanting to do road vacations, and then we will start going on those because I don't like those sitting.
Any questions for?
Yeah, when is the brief due on the gravel pit?
We had received an email from hold on, Commissioner, I will get that. So I thought we had received an email, but it looks like our last my last communication with William Schwartz was there was no docket yet in the Supreme Court case. So we don't have a brief due yet. There's been no scheduling order. So we're still waiting on that.
Would you double check that?
I certainly will email him and reach out again.
Thank you.
Any further? All right, thank you. Is he ready to go, Michelle? Which mic? This mic? It's on. Okay. All right, next up, Matthew Shapiro, the hydrology presentation for over there by Semino, the pumping storage project. You guys are up. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, everything is good to go. Anytime you're ready.
Great. All right, my name is Matthew Shapiro. I'm the Managing Director of Hydro Strategy for R+, and I've been with the company since it started in 2018. And I'll introduce Kevin Baker here, or he can introduce himself. He's our General Counsel.
Commissioners, my name is Kevin Baker. I'm the senior attorney for the project here. I've got 27 years of infrastructure project. That's what I do for a living. I previously worked in Campbell County as the general counsel for Rio Tinto at the coal mine. So this area and this project are quite special for me.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring up the presentation now. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that.
Yep.
Great. So we appreciate the opportunity to present about Semino. It's been a project in development for about 6 years now, and we know it's been the subject of a lot of discussion lately in the area, well beyond Carbon County. So we look forward to introducing the project, addressing concerns that we know have been raised, and answering any questions you might have. So I'll start out with a little overview of the company. So R+ was formed at the end of 2018. We develop large-scale energy projects. We've developed a bit over $1 billion worth of solar. As of today, most of the projects are in Utah and Idaho.
Matt,
Solar.
Can you pause
Yep.
for just a second? Michelle,
Yes.
can you shut down the participants panel? That'll make it a little bit bigger so that we can see. Not, yep. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So the company is focused primarily on large-scale solar and solar plus battery projects, as well as the pump storage projects, which are longer-term, more complex projects, as you can imagine. We are one of the leading developers of new pump storage in the United States, and I'll describe what pump storage is and why it's of great interest in the U.S. today. So it's a long duration energy storage technology, dispatchable, meaning it can be turned on and off as the utility and the grid needs it. 8 to 12 hours of storage duration, enhances grid reliability, balances baseload resources like coal and nuclear, and contributes to real system inertia, which is that stability that the grid needs. Proven technology in use for 100 years. There are 43 operating pump storage projects in the US. The last big project went online in the mid-1990s. Minimal consumptive water and land use. The project's very efficient in terms of their use of land and water. 100-year lifespan, so far longer than batteries. In fact, very few of these projects have ever been retired since they've been built starting in the early 1930s, 40s, 50s. Most of the projects in the US were built in the 50s and through the early 90s. Lowest cost of energy storage technology per kilowatt hour of storage capacity. And there's no degradation of these projects of their efficiency or their storage capacity, no matter how much they're cycled or used, unlike large-scale utility batteries. And generally how they work is you got a lower reservoir and an upper reservoir. When a utility has surplus energy of lower value, when it's not needed to meet demand, it can use that energy to pump from the lower reservoir to the upper reservoir where the water is stored until power is needed. There's a high demand period. Other resources are not available. And then it reverses direction and the water flows through the same equipment, the turbines, back into the lower reservoir. It's roughly 75 to 80% round trip efficiency, which is just about comparable with large scale utility batteries that are being built. This particular project at Seminole involves the construction of a new upper reservoir, about 120 acres footprint. Capacity is 13,000 acre feet, of which about 10,000 would be the active volume that could be cycled up and down. So 13,000 acre feet is equal to about 1% of the full volume of Seminole. In a water year like this, or last year, it's equivalent to about 3%. Everything else is underground, pretty much. This project would have an access bridge that would be built just below Seminole Dam. That's to get into the main access tunnel that leads to the underground works. There would be an intake structure, and I'll show you the sort of underground cross section in the next slide. The intake structure that would be built on the shoreline of Seminole, and then there'd be a transmission line leading from the project. Underground profile would look something like this. You've got your underground powerhouse in the middle, upper reservoir tunnel. It's called the head race tunnel, leads to the vertical shafts, and then the powerhouse. Then you've got a tail race tunnel where the water leads to the intake and outlet structure at Seminole. The main access tunnel, as I mentioned, would be just below Seminole Dam, and you'd need a bridge to get there. And then that tunnel would lead to the powerhouse structure. Project would require a 29-mile transmission line, which is intended to connect to this Aeolus substation, which is the big Pacific Corp 500 kV hub to the east. In terms of land ownership, so the upper reservoir is BLM land. Much of the lower area footprint is USBR. This orange area here would be the rock spoil area because a lot of material would be taken out of the tunnel, needs a place to be taken and processed into concrete, and then that would much of that would return back into the main access tunnel and used in the underground facilities. We also have on USBR land in the state park area, the assembly area for the intake and outlet structure, which should be constructed on shore and then floated out. And we have more slides on that. So why would you look at doing a project like that here? So pump storage projects have a very specific requirement for geography. It needs a high vertical drop over a short distance, needs the right kind of geology. So there's some very solid granite geology for the tunneling in this particular area. An existing large reservoir, which means you only have to build one instead of two. If you've got a closed loop project like some of the others we're working on, then you have to construct two. So that's more economical if you only have to build one. And there's also, in terms of physical water sourcing, when you have an existing reservoir, there's no question where that would come from. Access to large transmission. So a lot of the major transmission infrastructure, I mentioned that Aeolus hub is quite close by. And the site was previously identified by USBR numerous times from 1963, early 1980s, and again in 2013 as one of the most promising sites for new pump storage on their system when they screened their reservoir system for possibilities for new pump storage. In terms of project capabilities and need, the generating capacity 970 megawatts which is approximately, to give you an idea, it's approximately the same power output in megawatts as the Dave Johnson coal plant. So it's quite large. 12 hours of full output energy storage capability, which is basically 3 times longer than utility scale batteries can provide. Can go from standby to full output in 90 seconds or less. So it's extremely fast responding to when the grid needs power. A much faster ramp up than gas turbines can provide. And it's an ideal pairing with conventional baseload resources, which was the historic use for pump storage, or wind and solar, because it can store that wind energy when it's not needed, and the same thing for solar. Full range of grid support services, voltage stability, etc. And as I mentioned earlier, 100-year lifespan. So it is a very long-term benefit to ratepayers because of that lifespan, maybe more than 100 years. And undoubtedly, you've heard about data centers and the demand for power growing in the Cheyenne area and undoubtedly other parts of the state as well. So when you combine the growing power demand, the fact that there will be retiring generators, although the coal plant's lifespan has been extended per Pacific Corp's resource planning, most Wyoming coal plants will probably be retired by the early 2040s. So when you combine the growing power demand with the need for new on-demand power like what this can provide, and then the need to manage the variable resources like wind and solar, that's where a project like this can do something that no other type of resource can do. Benefits to the community. So it's an investment of $3 to $4 billion for this project, estimated $9 million annual property tax. Granted, that's probably primarily Carbon County we're talking about. 100-year operating asset, 300 to 500 jobs created during the 5-year construction period, and then 30 to 35 full-time, well-paying jobs once operational. And Natrona County would see significant local spend through that construction period. And essentially all with that minimal surface footprint, that 120-acre reservoir and the transmission line. Now, the concerns have been raised during construction activity on state park visitation, activity on big game, bighorn sheep, workforce housing, and then construction concerns about impacts during operation, primarily fisheries related, in reservoir impacts like entrainment of fish and downstream Miracle Mile. So we're going to spend some time talking about those issues. So impact during construction, obviously we've got construction crew traffic on Seminole Road. Seminole Road will remain open. We have the primary area of activity being the spoils haul from that tunnel, that main access tunnel to the spoils area, which is over the bridge and then to this. This shows a variety of alternatives that were studied, but this one that I'm circling here, we call it alternate D, was the one that we ended up moving to specifically to shorten the distance. So it went from over 3 miles of a haul distance on that road, which is daily haul of rock one way and concrete back the other way, to a 1.6 mile distance. So a 60% reduction in heavy truck traffic, limited to just that area in the lower area. The intake outlet structure construction site, less of a concern, but there was concern from the state park about where that was located originally. That was moved to an area much further away from the campground to address concerns there. Then we have the question of materials and crew transport to the upper reservoir site. And much of the concern raised during the construction period for that period of time relates to bighorn sheep habitat. As of, for the first 5 years of the development of this project, this area here in the orange and yellow was the mapped area for bighorn sheep habitat, subject to seasonal restrictions on activity to avoid disturbing the herd. Middle of last year, Wyoming Game and Fish unveiled their new maps of bighorn sheep habitat, which encompass this entire pink area. So that areas that previously, of our proposed project, previously were not in that footprint, were now in that footprint. So that included the upper reservoir area and the original spoils and laydown area here. And then that became official at the end of 2025. So it was in response to Wyoming Game and Fish's request that we looked at an alternative to that spoils area to reduce that footprint of impact and that haul distance, cutting that by 60% to just the 1.6 miles. We developed an extensive set of minimization and mitigation in terms of training of crew, reducing noise, vibration, light, and those are all in a plan that we call the WISRVIP that's designed to be a range of strategies to minimize disturbance to the herd during construction. And at the upper site, there's a natural slowdown. A lot of the activity there is related to laying concrete for that reservoir structure, and it can't really be laid when temperature is below freezing, which is several months of the year, as you can imagine. So there is a natural slowdown in construction activity during much of that season of concern for bighorn sheep habitat. So that is something we're continuing to engage with Wyoming Game and Fish, as well as BLM and USBR, about additional strategies for minimizing that concern and that impact, because we absolutely want to avoid that. On the water impacts, which has been the subject of a lot of discussion, as we know, in Casper and Natrona County due to the Miracle Mile. So I think we spent 2.5 years of work with Wyoming DEQ studying the potential impacts of this project on the reservoir, on temperatures, on turbidity, sediment, and all the things that came up in the past year on that. And as a result, based on very robust and extensive science, DEQ is very appreciative. They said it was one of the best studies they'd ever seen, and the way we worked together with them to build on that science and ensure that there would be no impacts to the Miracle Mile, Seminole, and Cordes reservoirs, because they cannot be allowed to happen. So the plan that was developed, the adaptive management plan, includes robust monitoring of temperature and turbidity and regulatory tools to Wyoming to respond if during periods of time of higher risk, and to respond to conditions that include provisions to cut back operation during a period of high temperature risk, which is essentially that 1 in 10 year late summer, higher temperature, low water year combination, where that higher risk is incurred for temperature effects, which even under those conditions is a very small risk, but we cannot be allowed to affect Miracle Mile temperatures. And so it was about a month ago that DEQ issued their 401 water quality certification for the project. Based on those studies and based on that set of provisions and tools that they have to make sure that this project cannot affect temperatures and turbidity that would affect Miracle Mile conditions. Fish entrainment is another thing that came up. So this is the intake structure, which is set very deep in the reservoir. The combination of the depth of the intake structure, the size of it, which really reduces the intake velocity to about 1.5 feet per second, and fish screens results in a very low risk of fish being drawn in during the pumping operation of the project, which was a question that came up a lot. Turbidity is another big question that came up. And so that's sort of, are we going to stir up sediment in the reservoir? So the turbidity will only have a sort of a spike during that first startup of the project. That amount, the volume that was estimated to be disturbed is very small compared with the natural sediment flow through Seminole Reservoir. The discharge velocity coming out of this structure is low at the reservoir bottom, and a rock blanket would be installed to further prevent scour for the lifetime of the project. There's monitoring at the vertical mile for turbidity, and all the science and studies indicate, and DEQ concurs, that there is almost certain to be no effects on turbidity downstream. And I think the city of Casper was concerned about that as well because of the wastewater, the water treatment plant. There is no reason to believe that there'd be any effect below Seminole Dam and Cordes Dam on turbidity. The draft environmental impact statement. So in terms of permitting, the lead federal agency is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, because it's a hydroelectric project and they regulate all hydro projects. And they're just the top layer. And then you've got the BLM and the USBR and all the state agencies. But FERC is in charge of developing the draft environmental impact statement and the final environmental impact statement. So the scope of that study was quite extensive. It included aquatic, terrestrial impacts over the 30 to 50 year license, which is what they would issue. The license is for a 50-year initial period. They study direct and indirect impacts, aquatic resources, terrestrial, threatened and endangered species, land use, visual, recreation, socioeconomic, the whole gamut, cultural, noise, air quality. They issued their draft environment impact statement at the end of September. They concluded in that DEIS that the project would provide dependable, economic, beneficial energy to Wyoming and the grid. Public benefits outweigh impacts, and that there are would be sufficient environmental protections under the recommended conditions that would be placed on the license. Draft EIS was complete. They're working on the final EIS, which is expected this June. And then this is the timeline. Beyond that, we're about here. The comment periods have been closed. There was a huge amount of comments filed and responded to, both the level of FERC, comments that we had to respond to satisfy DEQ, for their 401 water quality certification. But we're here in the process, and the final EIS will come out in June. The record of decision from FERC in September under the current schedule, and the license as well in September. Then we've got the BLM right-of-way, which is required for a substantial part of the project, which we hope to conclude by February. But that doesn't mean the project could start construction, because we've got at least 2 more years of FERC dam safety review, engineering that has to be done. And so the earliest that project construction could begin is 2029, and then it would be a 5-year construction period. Now the project, even with all of that, there's no guarantee that the project would even begin construction, because we still need a power purchase agreement. And without that, the project can't be built. So marketing is ongoing. We don't have that power purchase agreement yet, but we are, of course, marketing the project, because after spending 6 years and millions of dollars on development, we of course want to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and everybody else wants to know, where's this project going to go? So that is, I think we can open it up to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot. Any questions?
Yeah. Mr.
Worth?
Mr. Spiro, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Spiro, what is the volume of water that's going to be moved in and out on a daily basis in a 12-hour period?
If the project were fully cycled over a 12-hour period, which is unlikely because you'd probably only use the project to meet peaking 4 hours a day here, 6 hours a day there. But if you did the entire 12 hours, it would be about 10,000 acre feet over the 12-hour period. And then it would take about 14 hours to pump that back up.
Okay, so what's your velocity of your water coming back down from the storage down into the lower
15.
portion?
Yep. So coming out, it's about 15 feet per second at the middle portion of the outlet structure. It's lower velocity at the lower near the base and lower at the surface.
Okay, and you, just for clarification, not talking about turbidity, not talking about water quality, but you are talking about thermodynamics that are directly associated when you start running the potential of 10,000 acre feet into that section of the reservoir. You're going to pretty much eliminate any thermocline that you have in that entire reservoir. It's going to make a constant temperature all the way across, and it's going to mix everything. How are you going to prevent that from affecting the fishery in Seminole, which is in turn going to affect the fishery down in Cordis and the Miracle Mile Association? Can you give me a clear answer on that?
Yes. So that is exactly what the water quality study and that 2.5 years of modeling of what this project would do during a high water year, a average water year, and a very low water year, what it would realistically be expected to do to that thermal, to that water stratification under all of those conditions. That was exactly what we had to study. And down to the degree of potential impact at the Miracle Mile. And the conclusion of that study was the only circumstances under which the operation of the project would potentially cause an exceedance of the temperature threshold that is allowed would be during that very low water year, during the late summer season, when that risk occurs. And so that was the period that a strategy was developed in conjunction with DEQ, and temperature is monitored throughout the entire lifespan of the project, to where if during those conditions, that temperature, if there's a risk of that temperature approaching that threshold due to destratification, then the project operation is cut back and curtailed such that that threshold is not hit. So that was the core subject of the entire water quality modeling and the DEQ's primary area of concern, because they cannot allow that temperature to be exceeded.
And what was that temperature variation? What was the delta point on there?
Kevin, do you remember what that potential exceedance was? Was it like 1 degree? or less?
It's point what, yeah, so the risk of the project, even under worst case conditions, is a 0.1 degree exceedance of the tier one water quality standards. And so even if, and that's not mitigated at all. So the real concern was is to make sure we didn't exceed it. And as Matthew explained, we worked very closely with Eric Hargett and DEQ to put a robust regulatory model in place so that DEQ and the state of Wyoming can make sure that that temperature threshold is not exceeded. And it's not reactive, it's proactive. So we have to monitor, we're monitoring the water in Seminole and in the Miracle Mile continuously. We have to do 2 years of monitoring before we even start operations to establish a baseline. And then we have to, on a monthly and weekly basis, we have to coordinate with DEQ during those times of concern each year to make sure that we're not going to exceed that threshold. And if the temperature starts to uptick as a result of stratification, then we have to reduce significantly the operations itself. I would also add that the concern was about fisheries in Seminole. In fact, the modeling demonstrated that there would actually be an improvement to the water, to the fishery habitat in terms of dissolved oxygen and temperature itself in the Seminole Reservoir. The real concern was because the Seminole Dam is a bottom loading dam, so the water comes out of the base. So the temperature at the bottom of the reservoir is the most impactful to the Miracle Mile. And so the standards that we put in place, the protocols we put in place were all designed and signed off by the state to make sure that's not going to have an impact there. And we're pleased and happy that was the outcome.
Okay. Let me ask one more real quick. Just for clarification's sake and specifics, what is the potential drawdown and rise in Seminole on a daily basis if you're running the full amount of water through the station?
So that, Commissioner, it depends on the water year and the levels, and it ranges from inches to, well, I believe during a low water year, a maximum of, Kevin, was it 12 inches or 12 to 14 inches? Something like that.
It's around in that area, yeah. It's very low. So you're looking between inches and a foot of water drawdown, depending on the amount of water in the reservoir. And how it's also contingent upon how the dam is being operated and how the project is being operated. So there are other conditions that go into how that actually operates.
Just out of curiosity, have either one of you ever run a boat on Seminole Reservoir?
Personally, no. I fished the Miracle Mile, but I haven't boated. I've been around the Seminole Reservoir quite a bit, but I haven't boated it.
There's lots of rocks around the edges, and it's moving that kind of volume and changing that much on a daily basis is going to expose and potentially expose a lot of hazards to the people that are utilizing the reservoirs. The reason why I'm asking that, it's not just the fisheries, it's also the public in general. So with that, I'm gonna
Commissioner,
Have you ever, has your company ever had a permit denied to them?
For pump storage hydro. So we have 3 projects that are in a sort of advanced stage of permitting. This project is the most advanced, so we haven't crossed that threshold yet. So
At
the answer is no.
Navajo, was that the Navajo Nation issue?
No, we're not. We don't have any projects there. So we have not had a permit denied, on a license denied for pump storage. This project is closest to getting a license, and we'd be surprised if it is denied. But if you mean a preliminary permit, preliminary permits are what you get initially when you propose a pump storage project. There were some denied for the Navajo Reservation because There was a policy that FERC developed where a tribe, if they didn't approve of the preliminary permit, then FERC would automatically deny it, but that didn't involve any of ours. No.
Have you ever had any, in your time, have you ever had any disasters in, your construction or, the, loss of wildlife or, denizens of the deep?
No, so our company has all of the projects that is constructed to date have been solar and solar plus battery projects and one wind project in Idaho. The safety record is extraordinarily good for R plus construction on those. So we have not constructed a pump storage project yet. But if we do enter construction, we expect that the safety standards will be as high as we've always been held to, and the contractors as well. So we wouldn't expect that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one question from me, if you don't mind. Have you guys looked at how much approximate water loss you're going to have with that additional surface area of the upper reservoir and
Yes.
anything else?
Yes, so the estimated annual evaporation loss for the upper reservoir is a bit over 200 acre feet. However, the net evaporation loss for the entire project is estimated at 0 to 80 acre feet per year. Why, you might ask, would that be? It's because although we have this new surface area at the upper site, the very slight decrease in surface area to Seminole itself, which is much larger, results in a reduction in evaporation loss such that it balances out to almost nothing. Now, we are still going to be contractually responsible for, Kevin, what is it, 400 acre feet a year?
472 acre feet. So that's both for the obligation of the Seminole Reservoir as well as the upper reservoir.
Yeah, that's because the losses at Seminole that USBR already has on that, they will prorate an assignment to us because of our use of some of that water. So we're still going to have to be accountable for much more than we're actually costing in terms of acre feet.
Could I add to that a little bit, Matthew? Commissioner, just to talk a little bit about water. We work very closely with CADE, Casper-Alcoba Irrigation District, to make sure that we had the appropriate water rights, both for the initial fill, so for the 13,000 acre feet for construction water, as well as for the annual makeup water that we have. So we have CADE standing behind that. We have USBR. We're working with USBR. They've approved a water contract, and we're negotiating that right now, which will include all of those water rights. So we're not concerned about where the water comes from. Essentially, we are not. We're using the water, but we're not consuming it. We're bringing it up, and then we're bringing it back down outside of whatever water losses or evaporative losses that come. And in fact, we had to go through a large process with the state engineer to ensure that PRIP and all the other type of requirements from the state under the interstate compact for water deployment, both from Seminole through Cordis and through the Miracle Mile and into Nebraska, were followed, and we've got sign off on that too. So we're not concerned that we're going to be adversely impacting either the water quality or the water amount or the flows of water through the system itself.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the explanation and the education. We need to get going. We have some other matters to attend to, but thank you very much. I'm sure you said there's another portion of the public comment, or somebody can reach out to you if they have further questions. possibly?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Our goal is to partner with you guys, and if you need any help or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out with us as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Do I have a motion for exec?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for exec for personnel and legal advice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're in exec.
Danielle.
Always Danielle.
Normal.
Okay, we're back in session. So, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would start with on item C. I'd recommend that we take that off the table and put it back on the consent agenda so we follow Robert's rules accordingly. So we can vote on that. And the second item is the ratification, item D, for the open burning. And Madam Attorney, would you read what your recommendations to us are on that one, on how to proceed on that one?
Yes. So, resolution 14-26, you all already approved. And it was already signed. So we just need to ratify that. And then because I know we want to add an exception for the cleaning of the ditches. Thank you. We're going to do an amendment, and I'm working on that right now. I already have the language in place, so that amendment is just going to include a restriction or an exception F to include language that states for agricultural cleaning of CAD and other CAID and other irrigation ditches for maintenance prior to seasonal use with approval from the fire district and fire marshal. The only other thing that I am changing is the whereases, but it's just the whereases just explain what's going on that we've already approved of the prior resolution and that we're wanting to add that. So what we can do tonight, because I'm having this done, is go ahead and ratify the 14-26. Then you can also approve of the amendment tonight as well, and we'll
Okay.
get that signed.
And that's amendment F. Is that correct?
It's amendment, so it'll be 14-26-A, and to include an exemption F for agricultural cleaning.
Yeah.
Phil, did you have something to say?
Chairman, Commissioners, just for how we've done it in the past, I think it's safer for when she has it, in case anybody wants to look at it, then it gets signed and gets ratified instead of us trying to change it after it's already been approved on here. We've had issues with that, keeping it clean and
Okay.
So we should pass the thing,
then do the
and then
amendment tomorrow and then ratify.
we can do the same process as we did for the ratification on this one, just to clean it up.
Okay. Okay, so we just move through and approve the consent agenda then as is. I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Or did we?
We needed to make a motion to take item C off the table, back on the consent agenda.
Yes,
So that's the motion.
yes. That was the first one. Sorry.
Second
I
that
thought,
emotion.
sorry, I thought we already did that. Sorry.
So a motion and a second to remove the tabled item of bid award on the 2026 motor grader.
Yes.
Do all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's off the table and onto the consent agenda. Go ahead.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There we go. So try to get that to us as quick as possible, though, if you would, Ashley. All right, next section will be public hearing. No public hearings, no contract agreements, resolutions, public comments. All those who want to speak for public comment? Nope, okay. Commissioner comment. Commissioner North.
This is, one of my favorite times of year, and it's not because of the weather, it's because of the gift that we were given. And I think that's, for me, that's something that changes this, the foundation of Christianity, the foundation of what it truly means to sacrifice. And I do believe that that's something that we, as citizens of the state and the county, need to look at and recognize that there are greater things than ourselves, and that's what we ought to be serving, and that's what we ought to be doing. And service is the top of that, and sacrifice goes right along with that. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Commissioner Laird.
Me next?
Yep. That's your name, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I resent some of the comments being made by the Congress of the United States, the Democrats, who are condemning our military and our president for committing war crimes. They're protecting the United States from a possible country that would use a nuclear weapon against us. It's about time. And I think for them to attack our warriors and talk about war crimes is a crime in and of itself. And I wish they'd quit doing it.
Commissioner Coates.
I have nothing tonight. I'm not gonna try to follow that one up.
I too would agree that, yeah, we need to support our troops, whether you support the policy or not. It's not their choice whether what they're doing. They're following orders and being honorable soldiers. So with that, we're adjourned.